Hey guys, this is the WalterFootball.com After Dark show from May 24th, 2024. Gonna be just talking random NFL stuff. Gonna read some news pertaining to fantasy football and whatnot in the NFL. And as you can see, I am flying solo for the third time this week. We're supposed to have Jacob on Tuesday. He had some family issues. Yesterday, we're supposed to have Kenny on, and it's a funny story. Kenny forgot about his wife's birthday, so he had to rush out and buy a gift, and then they went out to dinner. So hopefully that night went well. And then today didn't really have a guest scheduled. Didn't know if Tom was going to be available, but he's going to be on a Saturday. So we're finally going to have a guest this week on Saturday. So looking forward to that. But I am by myself, which means I'll answer anything. I'll answer anything anyways, but you don't have to worry about hurting the other person here with their job or whatever, getting canceled or whatnot. Not that I feel like that's not really a thing anymore, but as you guys know, I'll answer anything. So it doesn't have to be about football. Just leave a comment. I'll get to it. But in the meantime, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. So you can see on the screen here, I have our new t-shirts up. Talked about these the past few days, but we have our money laundering t-shirt. The color is chosen very carefully. Rogers Butker, make football great again. I'm looking forward to getting this. I was going to order this and wear it around and see what people have to say about it. I imagine some people are going to be like, "Oh, that's awesome. Where can I get that?" And then some people will like scowl at me. I have a t-shirt that says like it's like the Oregon Trail thing, and it says instead of being "you have died of dysentery," it says "you have died from the Clintons." And some people I see are like, "Wow, that's a funny shirt." And then like I was at the mall wearing it, and like some guy like scowled at me. So I'm like, okay, I guess I know where you stand. But I love getting feedback like that. There are 4 lights, so that is an homage to Captain Picard when he was kidnapped by the Cardassians and tortured. I guess I shouldn't say that because I don't know. I guess they might have the rights to it, but there are 4 light bulbs. I guess we have a Pedo Pete T-shirt just in time for the election in 6 months, and also in 6 months, November is Sloth Month, so it's about time the other deadly sins get their due. We have a Pride Month, might as well have a Sloth Month and a Wrath Month, and we have a Gluttony Month. I guess November should be Gluttony Month or Sloth Month, or whatever. I mean, both are pretty applicable to November with Thanksgiving there and football and whatever. But also, please consider contributing with super chats, super stickers. We get nothing from YouTube ads. Like they're pretty pathetic. The last time we didn't have any super chats, super stickers on a show, we had like 73 cents from YouTube ads. So you guys have been great recently. Kevin Kovac with the $25 a couple of days ago. We had Michael McGee last week with the $25 as well. We had Slew with $3.33 yesterday. Going with the inflation with the cheeseburger, the $2.69 to $3.33, the $2.69 being a McDonald's cheeseburger now. We had John Sanders and Germ with the $2.69s as well. So all those have been really appreciated and really helps to keep the show going. And you can also support me with the book, Jerks of the College Years. It's on Amazon. It's my 3rd book. And it's basically the Jerks of the Week, but for my college years, I spent a lot of time on this over the years, not like every day or anything like that, but like, here and there. And it took me a while to publish it. But yeah, I've met a lot of weird people at Penn State over my 6 years. So I chronicled all of it, and all of it's here. The guy in the top right is someone I call Professor Count Dracula, who he's a guy. He looked exactly like this. The author did a great job. He would show up, he would reek. First of all, he would smell so bad, and he would like always wear the same plaid clothes. And he seemed like he was drunk, and he wore these sunglasses, and even though he was indoors, he couldn't count. Like, even though he was our math teacher, he was like, he would like point to the board. He'd go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and like he'd miss 5, and like he'd screw up the problem. This guy was like out of his mind. There are a lot of weird things. Like he videotaped us like taking our midterms and our final, even though he allowed for an open book. So it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you videotaping us? So I wrote about him and all the other people at Penn State in my book. So yeah, just gonna get to the news here. We had some interesting things I thought for mostly for fantasy purposes, but I guess some other stuff applies as well. Obviously, the handicapping and whatnot. So we had Darren Waller just going down in chronicle order, or I guess reverse chronicle. Darren Waller has not been at OTAs, so I mean this is not like a huge deal at the moment. They are voluntary OTAs, so he doesn't have to show up. But he's someone who has talked about retirement, and the fact that he's not at OTAs like could signify that he's really thinking about it, and maybe he will play. Like who knows? But if he doesn't, then even if he does, like he may play like he has like 1 foot out the door already. I can't remember the guy's name. There was an offensive lineman like 10 years ago or something like that. He was doing something similar. I can't remember. It was Jared Velda here. He used to play for the Cardinals and the Raiders, and he was talking about retirement or something, and he decided to play 1 more year. And he had like his worst year yet. And I thought it was because like he was already thinking about like hanging up the cleats, and like he just basically already retired in his head. But he decided to play 1 more year for some reason. And I think that, it ended up, I guess like maybe he needed the money or something like that. But like for just his like overall career, like it was probably a mistake. Like he could have risked like long-term injury that way. And Darren Waller might be the same thing. Like if he's already thinking about retirement, he just may not play well at all this year. So he's just someone you shouldn't draft in fantasy. And I guess like most people wouldn't I should say in normal leagues. Like if you're in a super deep league, like you may not have a choice. But in like normal 16 man like 16 round 12 team leagues in fantasy, he's just some guy I wouldn't want on my roster. He's a declining player. He's always hurt, and now he's thinking about retirement. So I just don't have any interest there. So Slew asking, when you are working, do you like silence, background music, or TV on? Depends what I'm doing. So if I'm writing up picks or like anything that like I feel like requires just like like pretty like accurate writing or like just like careful writing, I like to have music on, and it's generally and it has to be music that doesn't have lyrics, because that could screw me up, especially if I'm tired. I've sometimes like when I'm tired, I'll have like songs with lyrics on, and I'll start typing the lyrics instead of what I want for football. And I was like, oh man, I need to stop listening to the song because it's like interfering with my brain activity. It's only when I'm tired though, but still, when I'm like carefully writing, I like to have like just music with no lyrics. So that's why I listen to video game music mostly. It's like mostly like Donkey Kong Country, like Chrono Trigger, Kingdom Hearts, Mega Man, like stuff like that. The Legend of Zelda. Like there's so many good video game music out there. David Weiss, I think, is my favorite composer. He's done Donkey Kong Country. Someone on Twitter, like I forget who even did the halftime show during the Super Bowl. But I'm like, this is trash, and someone's like, oh, who would you rather have? And I said David Weiss, like the Donkey Kong Country. It's just a music composer. It would be funny to have him on stage. Like most people are like, what is this? And I'd be like enjoying it. But no, I for that I like it. If I'm doing stuff that like I don't really need to have like any creative writing or anything like that. Like if I'm updating my mock draft, I could listen to music with lyrics, or if there's a game on, I'll have the TV on. In the past, like when Tucker Carlson was on, I would listen to him, but he's not on TV anymore. Yeah, I mean, sometimes like if I'm updating, like for example, like if I'm trying to rank free agents, and it's kind of like just like menial tasks. That doesn't like require like crazy mental thinking. I'll watch a TV show, like nothing that requires like immediate attention, like something like Young Sheldon. I had that on, and it's a pretty good show. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm not even a Big Bang Theory supporter. I did not like the show it was entertaining sometimes, but it was just a bad show with like with the background applause and stuff like that. I hate that stuff. But yeah, no, Young Sheldon didn't have that, and I thought like the character development is really good and realistic characters, and like the husband and the wife in that show, they always have arguments that my wife and I have. I always thought that was like realistic. It's like I'll see them have an argument. I'm like, wow, my wife and I had that argument like 3 weeks ago. It's like pretty crazy. So I think it's like really well written. So like shows like that where, like nothing like Lost or Game of Thrones, but if I'm, if I'm working, I can have like something like Young Sheldon on or something. Patrick saying, thanks for the video game recommendations from last week, Walt. Now playing Star Fox for the first time. That's awesome. Man, I love Star Fox. I played that so many times when I was a kid. Have you heard of Elden Ring? Top 10 video game of all time for me, and written by George R. R. Martin. I have heard of it. I've never played it. I don't even know what sort of game it is. I assume it's like an open world sort of RPG. But I've never played it, so maybe you can tell me what that's about. And like, what system is that on even? I just don't know. Actually, I wonder how Waller's divorce to Kelsey Plum will impact his play. I didn't even know about that. But yeah, I mean, we saw what happened to Tom Brady in his divorce. He had his worst season. So then again, like he was like 44, 45 that year. So it can't help. Bagley says, thoughts on taking the over on the win totals for the Texans, Jags, and Colts. I expect them to overachieve in extra divisional games. Surely 2 of them cash, no matter how the division games shake out. I haven't thought of that. That's kind of interesting. I wonder what the schedule is, what their schedule's like. I want to kind of hold that up. Just not like each individual schedule, but like which divisions they play. I think that's important because, like I know the AFC West plays the NFC South, so they're going to rack up some wins that way. It looks like the AFC South plays the NFC North, so that's not ideal. They will also play. What's the interconference division they play? It'll be the AFC East. So, I mean, not that matters. Like all the divisions are tough. But I'd rather have AFC East than AFC North, for example, because at least you get the Patriots and who knows the Jets if Rodgers is out. So I guess it could make sense. It really depends on what the numbers are. Like if you're getting favorable numbers, and I imagine that you might be able to with like the Colts and the Jaguars because both teams missed the playoffs last year. So I don't think they're getting that much attention, especially the Colts. I think a lot of people are down on the Colts. They just don't seem to be getting any respect, even though they almost made the playoffs. They're one weird play away from making the playoffs. So, and they're going to have the quarterback back. They're going to have a better backup. Joe Flacco's there now. So I definitely like the Colts. I would take the Colts over for sure. Well, not for sure. I just don't know what the number is yet. With the Jaguars, I like them because they were 8-3 last year. And, Trevor Lawrence got hurt and they only won one game after that. But, Lawrence, is going to be healthy. They added Eric Armstead, a couple other guys, Mitch Morse, Darnell Savage. I like their team, and I think they can make the playoffs as well. It's a really stacked division. So kind of feel bad for the Titans too. Like Titans aren't that bad. So I think it's a good strategy depending on what numbers you get. Just I wouldn't go blindly. Just if you get favorable numbers, I think that could work out. Patrick saying Tucker did great interviews with Dave Smith and Aaron Rodgers of the past week. I listened to the Rodgers one. So I didn't listen to the Dave Smith one. I was looking forward to that. I'm kind of behind on like my news podcasts. But that was something I was going to listen to. So I was looking forward to that. I was glad to hear that it was a good interview. Baxter says Elden Ring's on Xbox One and PS4, PS5. I have PS4. Open world fantasy game comparable to Shadow of the Colossus, but so many quests to explore and leveling up to do. Notoriously difficult, but so rewarding. Okay, I'll check that out for sure. I'm still on Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, but like I'm almost done. I actually beat the game accidentally because I was I don't know if you're familiar with the game, but like I was exploring the depths. Which, by the way, I feel like the depths of Tears of the Kingdom is a ripoff from the Upside Down in Stranger Things. It's like almost the same thing. But I was exploring the depths and I found like a crack in the depths, And so it was like, wow, there's something even beneath this. So I went down, and it's like they played this like demonic music. It's kind of crazy, and like there's so many tough bad guys. And I kept going. I thought it was like a secret area, and I kept going. And then it's like, oh, I ran into the final boss. I'm like, oh, it's Ganon already. Like I didn't even know I was going to fight Ganon. So I beat the game, but I wanted to do some extra stuff like beat King Leok and do all the side quests and stuff. Like I'm a completionist, so. And I don't think I found all the shrines either. I think I'm missing like 4. So I wanted to find those as well. But I'm almost done Zelda. So I'm looking for something else to play. I actually have a bunch of games I haven't opened yet, just like birthday presents and like Christmas presents. Just because I've been stuck on Tears of the Kingdom, and I don't play video games during the football season. So like I'm a bit behind in my video game playing, but I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, I'll definitely check out Elden Ring. Thanks for the suggestion. Bagley saying, in general, I like the idea of choosing 3 strong teams with negative correlation for win totals, taking the over on all 3, hoping 2 of them cash. You just don't know which 2. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if you're getting good numbers. And I imagine, like I said, I think you're going to get a good number in the Colts. Oh, why am I even speculating? Might as well look, right? So NFL, and I'm going to do these win totals with Jacob on Tuesday. We planned to do it last Tuesday, but unfortunately he had some family stuff. But yeah, I'm not seeing win totals on FanDuel. I'm not seeing them. They were up on Tuesday. Or at least last week. Don't know where they are. It's kind of weird. Maybe I'll go to DraftKings. Let's see. Let's go to DraftKings. They probably have them. I don't know, like FanDuel, like they disappear. They there's some of their stuff like vanishes sometimes. It's so strange. All right, so NFL, we have let's see, rookie leaders. There we go, wins. If DraftKings has a better layout anyway, because FanDuel you have to like click each one to open it up. It's so annoying. But I wish they would like alphabetize these. Like, what is this order? All right, so Jaguars are over 8.5. So just having a winning record. They had a winning record last year, and Lawrence was injured for half the season. So over 8.5 looks good to me. Over 8.5 on the Colts. Didn't they have a winning record as well? What was the record? They NFL.com standings. The Colts were 9-8 as well last year. So yeah, that would have hit as well. And they didn't have Anthony Richardson for most of the season. And then we get to the Texans. The Texans are over 9.5, which, they're really talented. They should hit. So yeah, I like it. I think that's a good strategy. And like I said, I think you need to have good numbers. And I think we're having good numbers on all 3. So yeah, I think I might join you, Bagley, in doing that. Actually says the only part I haven't done is the end. That Ganondorf is so tough with his 4 phases. Yeah, he's there's one section where he just depletes your hearts, and I know that happens in in the depths. Like if you get hit by gloom, like your hearts go away, but he actually like erases your heart. Like you can't cure it with like Sundelions. And so like you're kind of like under pressure to beat him quickly. But I think it's definitely possible. I think King Leok is tougher. I haven't beaten him yet, but I needed to have like freeze-proof armor because he keeps freezing you and electrifying you, like just ridiculous. So I finally like powered up my freeze-proof armor, so I'm pretty close to challenging him. So okay, back into the work for me. Texans 9.5, Jags, Colts 8.5. Yeah, I like all 3 of those numbers for sure. Like agreed. So. Yeah, I think it's a good strategy. So it's a good heads up there. Something I'm going to bring up to Jacob and see what he thinks about that on Tuesday. All right. So what's the next thing here? So Jameson Williams, I kind of laughed at this. Dan Campbell talked him up and he said, Jameson Williams is a man on a mission. And I'm like, all right, here we go again with Jameson Williams. Like he always gets hyped. I don't know if like Dan Campbell has ever hyped him. He's always gotten hype from media or fantasy people on Twitter. Like he's always like the sleeper everyone loves because he was so talented at Alabama. But maybe it's his time. Maybe I won't discount it. I think he's worth a shot in the late rounds. Like he has so much talent. Like if he can live up to it in that offense, like he could have a huge year. just like he's been such a disappointment. But if Dan Campbell's saying it, I think there might be some truth to it. So I bumped him up my rankings. Yeah, I like taking a chance on him late, but I wouldn't take him in like the middle rounds or anything like that. I think he's too risky. But late rounds like 12th round and later, I think it's fine just to take a shot on him. Sue says Celtics plus Tatum under equals more fun than Nuggets on his birthday. Well, I don't know exactly what Nuggets ended up doing, but yeah, I mean that was a nice hit. For a while, like the Pacers just wouldn't go away. Like they were hitting everything. And they were shooting at one point in the third quarter. I think they're shooting like 59% from the field. I'm like, what? Geez, like these guys like just won't go away. But the Celtics eventually they got the cover. Tatum under hit. Jacob brought up a good point to me. He texted me, and he's like, I can't believe I missed out on Jaylen Brown over PRA or over anything really, because he was snubbed from he was snubbed by something like I don't know what Jacob said. He was like snubbed by let's see. He was snubbed by All NBA. So I didn't even know about that. Unfortunately, I wish I would have seen it. And Jacob missed it too, and he knew about it. So I guess maybe it wasn't that obvious, but yeah, I mean, Jaylen Brown looks super motivated tonight. Like he was doing everything. So that definitely helped with the Tatum under. But what helped the most was that it didn't go to overtime again, because that was so tilting. It's like the second time this playoff that we had player under, and it went to overtime. We had it under in regulation, but the over hit in overtime. So it was pretty tilting. The first time was Brunson against the Sixers. Okay. What's the next thing? We have Josh Jacobs is dealing with hamstring issues. So it's only May. It's not a big deal. I didn't even move him down my rankings, but it's definitely worth noting because hamstring stuff tends to linger, like soft tissue injuries. They tend to linger. So, if this persists until like July or August, then suddenly you're like, oh man, like maybe I should stay away from him. He could have a down year, but it's not enough at the moment, So something like that could definitely go away. Lad McConkey has developed a really good chemistry with Justin Herbert. So I guess it's nice that someone has developed a good chemistry with Herbert, because the Chargers at the moment, like they're pretty bleak. Like I was doing their season preview tonight. Now, like my previews aren't gonna be up until I do all the teams, because like what happens is like sometimes I'll run through the schedule. Like I'll start with the AFC West. I'll do like the Chiefs first, for example, and then I'll do all the other teams in the division. Then I'll do the next division. And like I'll simulate the schedule, and like sometimes what happens is like I'll simulate like a win or a loss for a team, and then I'll get to the team they played later on. And I'm like, oh, they're actually better or worse than I thought they were, and so I have to adjust it. So like posting these like before everything is done, I feel like would be a mistake, because sometimes I'd go back and change the record, and like some people might be confused by that. So I like to get all of them done before I post all of them. So I just finished the AFC West, the first division I did, and I did the Chargers, and man, they have a lot of holes in their roster. It's like worse than I thought. Their defensive line looks so horrible. I don't know how they're going to stop the run or anything like that. Or get any pressure from the defensive line. Obviously, they have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, but Bosa gets hurt all the time. Khalil Mack's 33 now. They could decline, or Bosa could get hurt again. Their secondary, outside of Asante Samuel Jr., at cornerback it's so bad. Like Christian Fulton's their other starting cornerback. He was horrible in Tennessee. They just like booted him out. Like I don't know. Maybe he rebounds, but it looks bad. Their interior blocking looks terrible too. Now they have the two tackles. That'll be good, but their interior blocking sucks. Receiving core, I don't need to tell you guys about. It's Lad McConkey, Joshua Palmer, and Quentin Johnston. I kind of like Palmer, and maybe McConkey's gonna have a good year as we can see by this report. But man, it's this team's not that good. I feel like Justin Herbert's gonna carry them to some wins. But I don't know if they're going to have a winning record. And they're going to be better than Denver. Like, obviously, they're going to have at least one win over Denver, if not two. But like, I don't think they're. I shouldn't say that. I don't think they're as good as the Raiders. Like the Raiders play at the Chargers in week 1, and it's something Tom and I talked about on Saturday. I like the Raiders quite a bit. Like they're plus 3.5, and I think the Raiders are better than the Chargers, and they're gonna have a home field advantage on the road because there are gonna be so many Raider fans in the stands in LA. And the Chargers, by the way, at home they are ever since they moved to LA, I think they're 25-29. I guess 25-29 straight up at home. So they have no home field advantage. They actually have a better record on the road. So which is pretty sad. So Raiders week 1, I like that a lot. As long as it's over 3, and even at 3, I like it too. So it says Oilers, Stars in overtime. Did Quacky have a lean on in this match? No, he did not, but he liked the Washington Mystics tonight. Unfortunately, they are getting shellacked. Let's see here. Because I did bet them too. They're losing 70-56. They're 6-point underdogs. So they can still cover. I know in the second quarter they're winning. So I don't know what happened to them in the third quarter. They got outscored 27-16. So not good, but he did like the Mystics. So maybe that's something if you guys want to bet live. It's his suggestion. They're plus 14.5 right now. No, actually just plus 14 minus 104 bookmaker. So might be worth a shot. You're getting a plus 14 team at plus 6, which obviously they're down 14, but I don't know. I mean, that's what Quacky liked tonight, and he had good reasoning for it. I just don't know what happened in the third quarter. Mike says, yeah, Chargers are a year away from contending. I mean, they could fix their holes, and they have Jim Harbaugh, they have Justin Herbert. Like, they have the foundation. They just need to really upgrade some spots. Like, a lot of their spots, like you guys, if you guys see my season previews, I rank positions like 1 to 5, like each, like quarterback, running back, receiver, offensive line, etc. They've 3 spots with 1 star. Their defensive line, receivers, and what's the other one? No, linebackers is 2. Running backs. They have J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards as their primary running backs. And like Dobbins has talent, but he's always hurt. Edwards kind of sucks. And they spent a 6th-round pick on a running back. So yeah, that is the running back core. Like, it feels like they could have done better. Just not quite sure what they're doing. Like, it feels like they wasted a lot of draft picks too. And their first pick was a right tackle who's never played a right tackle before. So it's just I don't know what the Chargers are doing here. But it's not quite surprising that they've had kind of a confusing offseason. Najee Harris. So some good news with Harris here. He's undergone a new training regimen, and he wants to lose weight for the season. So I don't know how far along he is yet, but at least he's working out pretty hard. And if he loses weight, I think that's good. And the Steelers, they've really addressed the offensive line in the draft. They spent their first 2 picks on offensive linemen. So Harris should have better protection or better blocking. And so I think he might be kind of an undervalued player. Like, he's gotten some flack for how he's performed. But, if he were a 3rd-round pick or 2nd and 3rd-round pick, like, I think we'd look at him as having a good career. It's just like, as a 1st-round pick, he hasn't lived up to it. But he's gone over 1,000 yards, like, every single time. And so he could do that again. And with the better blocking, he could have his best season yet. So I think he's someone who's undervalued. I don't love him or anything like that, but I think that if he falls to me, kind of like where I think he should go, then I'm definitely going to take him. TJ Hawkinson has not provided a timeline for his torn ACL recovery, which is it's unfortunate, but kind of expected. He tore his ACL late in the season in a meaningless game. When you have like skilled players coming off torn ACLs, you usually want to avoid them the following season. So Hawkins is just someone I'm going to avoid, even though he's like super talented. Now, like, if he really plummets, when I'm in my fantasy leagues, generally, like, people will look at my rankings and my stock reports and stuff like that, and they'll know what I do. And like, sometimes they disagree with me. Sometimes guys will take players I don't like or whatever. But for the most part, like, if I have a guy like ranked like pretty low, like he's going to fall in the draft. But I don't expect Hockenson to like plummet or anything like that. Like he might go a round or two later, later than he goes on average probably in my leagues. But that still might not be enough. Just because of the torn ACL, just like no reason to kind of push it, especially given the position, because like you can get tight ends anywhere or just play matchups. Like I feel like that's the easiest offensive position to play matchups because generally like teams are gonna fill the roster with running backs and receivers. They're gonna have two quarterbacks for the most part, but like fantasy players like usually don't carry two tight ends. Like sometimes they do, but not always. So you're always going to have some decent tight ends available to play matchups with, and that's why it's just like another reason why you shouldn't spend an early pick on a tight end. He's terrible. Who's that, John? I feel like we've talked about some terrible players, a few of them. So let's see here. I have some reports here that I didn't post on the website. So this is a weird one. The Athletic says they said Javonte Williams, Samaje Perine, and Jaleel McLaughlin might face a challenging battle to maintain their 2023 roles. And went on to say that like none of them were difference makers last year. They're all mediocre, so they might all split the workload, especially with they spent a 5th round pick on a running back too. But I was just kind of like wondering, like, didn't you remember that Javonte Williams tore his ACL last year and he just wasn't 100%? Like, I feel like this guy, Nick Kosmider, I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly, but he, I don't know. Like, I feel like he just forgot that Williams tore his ACL. And, like, I wasn't expecting much from Williams last year. He was someone I avoided. And he actually had a better season than I thought he would. You know, he didn't re-injure himself, which, like, normally guys coming off torn ACLs, they suffered an Achilles injury or something like that. Like J.K. Dobbins did. Saquon Barkley did too. He didn't get re-injured, but like his workload was pretty low. Like they managed it pretty well. But now he's going to be another year removed from the torn ACL. So I actually expected Javonte Williams to have a really good season. But apparently not. I don't know. I mean, the Broncos have like 5 running backs they could work in. So I don't know. Maybe Sean Payton agrees with this report. I don't know, but it's I just don't really trust it. Speaking of Sean Payton, he said Bo Nix is farther along, which is grammatically incorrect, farther along than most rookies would be. Actually, you know, if he's like driving a car and he's farther than he thought he would be, then I guess it's correct. But no, he said that he's further along. They should have said further along than most rookies would be, which like I guess is not too much of a surprise because Nix is almost 25 years old. So he's not like a real rookie. But that doesn't mean much. I mean, we'll see what happens when he gets to game action. Like there have been plenty of quarterbacks who've looked good in practice who've just like crapped the bed when they got to the regular season, you know? So I feel like Nix is someone who could just like look kind of decent in the preseason and then he'll get some hype and then he'll crash and burn when real action begins. Kind of like Kenny Pickett last year. Remember in the preseason last year, Pickett was amazing. Like he looked like Joe Montana, like throwing the ball around. Like he like every pass he completed was a deep touchdown. It's insane. I got caught up in the hype too. I made that mistake. I was like, wow, the Steelers are going to be great this year. You know, Pickett, if this is real, I'm like, if this is real, like the Steelers are going to be great this year, Super Bowl contenders. I bet them to win the Super Bowl just based on that. It was so stupid. Yeah, I mean, week 1, they just got demolished. And then Pickett was eventually, he eventually got hurt. But then they kicked him out for Justin Fields. So, just goes to show that it's you have to be cautious with what you see in the preseason. You can't really judge everything because, another example, remember Daniel Jones when he first played? It was back in 2019. Like he saw action. Like Eli Manning was still there, so he didn't start right away. But he saw action in the preseason and he looked amazing. Like he looked amazing. Like he looked like the next like great quarterback. And I think like at one point he completed like every pass he threw in the preseason. I mean, we've seen what's happened since. Not that like Daniel Jones has had a great supporting cast. His offensive line has been a complete disaster outside of Andrew Thomas. He's never had a number 1 receiver. His best receiver I think has been Kadarius Toney. As crazy as that sounds, like Kadarius Toney had like a 3-game stretch where he looked great, and then he just got hurt and fell off. Other than that, like he's had to throw to like Kenny Britt and Kenny Galladay and Darius Slayton and Isaiah Hodgins and Richie James, just like bum after bum. Now he finally gets Malik Neighbors, so like there's a chance he could play well, but yeah, he's just someone who just never lived up to that hype that he got in the first preseason. I don't know if you guys remember that, but he looked so great. And it's kind of like astonishing that he just never lived up to it. Okay, so John's saying Najee Harris, guy can't even outplay an undrafted rookie. I don't know. I mean, like Najee Harris's stats haven't been that bad. Like he's like I said, he's gone over 1,000 yards. I want to see pull up his career stats. Yeah, he's gone over 1,000 yards in each of his seasons. 1,200 yards in his rookie year, 1034 in his second, 1035 in his third, and his offensive line has been bad. So I don't know. I feel like he gets more flack than he should. You know, I'm not saying he's great or anything with that. I'm not even saying like he's very good. I just think like he's solid. I think like again, like if he was drafted in the 3rd round, I think we would have like a much different perspective about him. Like he should have never gone in the 1st round, like maybe 2nd round. But like, you know, I think that like where he is drafted kind of like dictates what we think about him, you know? So yeah, I think that, I think that Najee Harris I think he's fine. And like the blocking is going to be better this year. I'm not like crazy about him, like I said, but I think he's fine. John said Nathan Peterman won the starting job over Josh Allen and AJ McCarron based on his 2018 play in the preseason. It's another great example. Peterman was one of the best preseason quarterbacks we've seen, and not just with the Bills in multiple locations. I think Kyle Sloter was one of the best too. What's his face? Pat White. Remember him with the Redskins? He was terrific. Tyrod Taylor, when he's a backup for the Ravens, he would always dominate in the preseason. Like there's so many good quarterbacks in the preseason who just like do nothing. I guess that Tyrod Taylor's had a solid career as a backup, but yeah, for the most part, it's so hard to judge anything you see in the preseason. I guess like the one thing you should do is if a quarterback is like constantly looking at a receiver, you know, they like develop a rapport. This is something I recognized in 2007. When the Patriots got Wes Welker. Now, Randy Moss didn't play in the preseason that year, but Wes Welker did. And like, he was Brady's like first read on every play. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to draft Wes Welker. And you know, he had a great year. But the problem, I guess now is that like a lot of the starters don't play in the preseason. So I don't know how much there is to learn about the preseason. I feel like the preseason is getting more worthless every year, unfortunately. And I think it used to be something you'd like learn a lot and just like watching games carefully. But I think that it's not really the case anymore, unfortunately. So, Bagger says if Jones can't get his act together this year, they just need to move on. Yeah, I agree. I had the Giants drafting Carson Beck in my 2025 NFL mock draft. And I think that like this is his last chance. Now it's unfortunate that his last chance like hasn't coming off a torn ACL, and he is a scrambling quarterback, so like that is a big deal. But he finally has a number 1 receiver, and they did spend some money on offensive line this offseason. Now, like I don't think they signed good players, but they at least tried to upgrade a little bit. So their blocking should be like marginally better than it was last year. So Jones will finally have a fair shake this year. So I completely agree. Like this is it for him. Let's like do or die. Like if he gets the Giants to the playoffs, they give him another chance. If the Giants have another season like they did last year, then you know his days as a starter are probably done. Stu says Najee plus Arthur Smith equals, yeah, especially if the mustache is involved. Like what if Najee Harris like gets this weird mustache during the middle of the season? Then I think like we have to be concerned or something. John says if he was drafted in the 3rd round, they would have moved on from him. Career 3.9 yards per carry average. So like I'm not a big like yards per carry average guy. And remember, like Pittsburgh's offensive line has been awful. I just don't know like if there was just many opportunities for him just to run behind that line. I think that number should improve this year because you know they added a couple of blockers to the draft, and I think that I think you're going to see that go up. But I don't think that like yards per carry is just a great number to look at. Mike says so many Alabama running backs are overdrafted over the years. It's definitely true. I feel like running backs are overdrafted in general. Like they're, unless you're getting like a supreme talent like Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs, like you shouldn't draft one in the first round. And like Najee Harris is not a supreme talent. Like he should have been a second round pick. So yeah, he was drafted too early, and I think that kind of like impacted how people think about him. But I think that I think that I just feel like he's kind of like unfairly judged because of like where he was drafted, But like I said, if you think about him as a second or third round prospect, then I think like you might view him more favorably. But yeah, I mean, John is right that like maybe they would have moved on from him for sure, and like maybe Jaylen Warren would have gotten more of the workload for sure. I could definitely see that argument. While injured, must switch to low impact on a lake, but cannot get any water in ears. 2 swim questions. Best stroke for muscle maintenance. Best water in ear prevention. Also scared of fish. Must switch to low impact on a lake, but cannot get any water in ears. I mean, not getting any water in ears is a problem. You can swim breaststroke with your head out of the water for sure. It's not going to be the best workout, but I think it's still a fine workout. I actually think that's fine. Like you do breaststroke with your head out of the water, so you don't have to worry about like any ear problems. Fish can weird me out. I can definitely see that. I usually swim in a gym pool with chlorine, so I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I mean, I can't say I ever swam in a lake before. I swam in the ocean, not in a lake, but yeah. So yeah, I would recommend doing breaststroke with your head out of the water, just so you don't get any stuff in your ears. Like you can get earplugs; those work for people, but some people don't like them. So you can try it out, I guess. And if that works, then just your basic freestyle should just be fine. Are there earplugs that work better than others? I don't use earplugs, so I don't know. I know my wife used my wife when she swam. She didn't swim competitively or anything like that. Like she would go to the gym with me. Like she used earplugs, but I can't tell you what brand they were. I would just read the reviews on Amazon, really. But unfortunately, I can't recommend anything because I don't use them. Yeah, nothing I've tried has helped. Yeah, so if the earplugs don't help, just do breaststroke with your head out of the water. I think that would be fine. Like the swimming emoticon. Cassandra says I have to put tubes. I have to have tubes put in my ears every year, so water is very bad there. Oh man, that's sorry to hear that. My son just had tubes put in his ears, so yeah. Like I said, breaststroke with your head out of the water is I think is your best bet. I thought a swim captain was the best person to ask. Yeah. Yeah. I was a swim captain in my high school swim team. So, and then I swam in college. So, it was, I do miss the swim meets. The swim meets were the fun part when you just race against people, and I would trash talk so much. I would post, I'd go online and this back when AIM was a thing, AOL Instant Messenger. I used to find my opponent and I'd trash talk them on AIM. It's just they probably would never read it. But I was just so and so, if you're out there, you suck, and I'm gonna beat you tomorrow. It's just say random stuff, and if they had a weird name, I wouldn't make fun of the name. I'd be if someone's name was there was a guy so I'm against it was I think his name was Justin Lowe or something like that, and I would say corny stuff. I'd be your chances of winning tomorrow are low, some stupid stuff. But yeah, I'd love to trash talk and then just do that. So the meets were always fun. The practices were brutal though, because it was so repetitive, and it's kind of boring at times too. But I would always think of stuff when I was practicing, just stuff I would write about, so. It says just don't ask Wald about running / jogging. Yeah, my knees are shot now. I couldn't even run or jog if I wanted to. But no, Sue's talking about my jogging class at Penn State, where I for the most part we just sat in a cafe and just just pretended that we jogged, and we just went in, signed in, went out, and then signed out. It was an hour and 15-minute class. quote unquote class. Yeah, so we'd like sign out at the end, and like eventually I wouldn't even go to the cafe. I would just like sleep in. I'd sign my name in, go back to my dorm, sleep, and then come back and sign out. They just didn't check. Like, there's no way they'd check because like they're like jog across campus with your group. And so my group was like smart enough to figure out that we didn't have to. I don't know if the other groups did. I didn't know anyone else in the class besides my group. So, but no, it was fun. It was a good group of people. You know, it was, I think I was still like Facebook friends with a couple of them. It was just a fun thing. But the midterm and the final were brutal because they made us run a mile, and the final was so bad because my friend Judy visited. You know, she and I are friends, and she graduated a year before I did, and she went on to grad school, and she visited Penn State, and so we went out that night. Like, I got sloshed, and like the next morning, like I woke up and I'm like, she's like, "Do you want to go get breakfast?" I'm like, "Oh God, I've a jogging final," and she's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "I have to jog a mile." She's like, "You're not jogging a mile like this." I'm like, "I know, it's gonna be so bad." Yeah, I somehow beat my time. Like, I ran actually a good time, and then I puked all over the place afterward. It was so brutal. Yeah, it was it was fun. I miss my college days, as you can tell. So, we have anything else? Okay, Courtland Sutton has been absent from Broncos voluntary OTAs. This is nothing to do with like Waller's thing, where Waller's thinking about retirement. Sutton wants a new contract. Which, like, I get, like, he had 10 touchdowns last year. But, you know, I think they're probably going to give it to him or something. Just wouldn't be too concerned about that at the moment. Now, if it gets to August and he's not practicing, then suddenly you're going to be like, okay, maybe you shouldn't draft him in fantasy. Actually, I wouldn't draft him in fantasy anyway, because the Broncos offense can be so dreadful. And plus, like, there's going to be some major touchdown regression. Like, anytime a receiver comes out of nowhere or even a running back comes out of nowhere to score a bunch of touchdowns, like, their touchdown total almost always drops. Like, remember when like James Conner had like 16 touchdowns, or like not James White. It was the running back for the Patriots. His name's escaping me. There's a running back, Damian Harris. Damian Harris had like 15 touchdowns or something, and his touchdown total collapsed. The 1 year Dwayne Bowe had like 16 touchdowns. He had like 2 the next year. This stuff changes all the time. It's such high variance. If you see like a player with like an absurdly high touchdown total, just like run for the hills. Like, there's no reason to draft that guy because he's going to be overdrafted. Like, people are going to be looking at Courtland Sutton's 10 touchdowns. They're like, oh, Courtland Sutton, maybe he won't even get 10. Maybe he'll get like 8. It'll still be good. Like, there's a decent chance like Courtland Sutton catches like 4 touchdowns this year. And so you're just going to be miserable with him on your team. You're probably going to waive him after week 5. Yeah, I have no interest in anyone on Denver's offense. I had a little interest in Javonte Williams, but this report is enough to get me off of it, even though I kind of criticize it because the author seemed to forget that Williams is coming off the 20 ACL. I just don't really want anything to do with the Broncos, who just they could easily be the worst team in the NFL. Well, at least like the Giants could also be the worst team, but at least they have like Malik Neighbors, you know. So he should be good, but like I don't see anyone worth drafting on the Broncos. Like, maybe Marvin Mims is a late round flyer, just because like I think he has some game breaking speed and he's going to get more snaps this year. Like, there's a chance he's okay. It's just like I just wish he was playing with a better quarterback than Bo Nix. He's just in a bad situation. Speaking of which, the Eagles signed what's his name? Who the Eagles signed? They signed the receiver. I think it was Justin Ross. John Ross, which I thought was weird because John Ross announced his retirement, but apparently he's back. I don't know why the Eagles are signing him. Just, I guess, like someone to draw interest in the preseason, just like get the ratings up or something. I don't think he's going to make the final roster. He's a speed demon, but he can't play football, which is unfortunate because if he could play football, he'd be pretty great, but he just can't. So I don't know. I mean, I guess he's there for injury protection. Like, if Brown and Devontae Smith get hurt, like, maybe at that point he'll probably make the roster. But otherwise, I don't think he's going to make the 53-man roster. So John Ross will probably have to re-retire. By the way, the Mystics are only down 7, so if you took the plus 14, congratulations. Looks like that's going to hit. Unfortunately, I have plus 6, so they're down 7 with 1:06 to go. So I may lose my bet, but if you bet it live, then congrats. I did not bet it live. I just recommended it here. So he said John Ross was a great kickoff returner, University of Washington. Oh, that you know what? That's a really good point. I forgot about the kickoff rules, the new kickoff rules. Maybe the Eagles are trying to get ahead of the game here and just get a super fast guy for kickoffs, because they're going to be way more kickoffs now. And like, who knows how this rule is going to affect it? Like, what if there are like 8 kickoff return touchdowns in the first week of the season? Like, the teams that have the best returners are going to have a huge advantage. Like, I just don't know how this is going to work. Maybe it'll be a nothing burger, but it can't hurt to have someone like John Ross. So that's a good point. Completely forgot about his return ability. Maybe he will make the roster as the kick returner. We have one more story here. Malik Cunningham, you guys might remember him as the Louisville quarterback. He's making the switch to receiver finally, and like, that was something that was floated around a lot. I was kind of upset that the Patriots didn't give him a chance last year as a quarterback. Not that I thought he'd do well, but just because Mac Jones was benched, and then they had Bailey Zappi, who was kind of a disaster. I thought, like, why not give Malik Cunningham a chance? And like, instead they just cut him. Like, even though like they had this terrible quarterback situation, they got rid of Cunningham, which is like kind of telling. I guess Belichick saw him in practice and like, this guy is just awful. There's no chance he does anything. But then why not try him at receiver? I guess like he's on the Ravens right now, and the Ravens don't have the best depth at receiver. Obviously they have Zay Flowers, and Rashad Bateman's there, even though he kind of sucked last year. And they don't have much else at receiver. So, maybe Malik Cunningham will turn into something. I guess they have Devontae Walker. They drafted in the 4th round, but we just don't know what they're going to get out of him this year. Nelson Aguilar is there, but Aguilar is a guy who like will do well like 1 week, and then he'll just disappear for the next 4, and then he'll pop back up. And like, usually like he'll have like a 4-catch 40-yard game and a touchdown, which is it's like 14 points in DraftKings. And so like, people will play him the next week because he's the minimum, and then he'll get like 1 fantasy point. And like, it's kind of like the cyclical thing where he always disappoints after he does well, and then he'll vanish, and then he'll come back and have a decent game. The Ravens need receiving help. So I guess like Cunningham makes sense in that regard. That is all I have for today. I just wanted to read the news, answer questions. Again, like, didn't have a guest on today, but we will have a guest on Saturday with Tom. So Saturday's show, I imagine, will be much longer than this one. I was gonna sign off and do more season previews. Start working on the NFC West and keep working my way eastward until I'm done. And then once I get done all the teams, that's when I'll post all the previews. Sue, thank you so much for the 222, saving us once again. Supers are tracked 2-2 Oilers Stars to second overtime. Twos, makes sense here. Hopefully the Mystics lose by 2 as well. That'd be awesome. They're down 5 now, so I'm currently covering. We'll see how long that lasts. Might as well put that up here, right? I'm just following it on Google. I don't know if there's a better way to do this. Okay, now they're down 4. This is very exciting. Hopefully I win our bet. I don't know if anyone else bet this, but that plus 14 was pretty good. I wish I bet it. I don't know. It's just it seemed like a good bet because they were 6-point dogs, and I know they're down 14, but like, getting plus 14 with a 6-point dog, I think, is pretty good. And I think Tom's reasoning was that the Phoenix look at the records here. Yeah, Phoenix 2-1 and Mystics 0-4. But Tom was talking about how, and maybe he'll get more into this on Saturday, because I know he's been doing well with his WNBA picks. But he said that like the Mercury, they won 2 games, but they weren't against impressive teams, and so it's kind of like a sort of a misleading 2-run record. And then the Mystics are 0-4, but they led. I could be getting it wrong, but they led after the third quarter in 3 of their games. So if this were Live as opposed to PGA, they would be 3-1 right now because Live only plays 3 rounds instead of 4 for PGA. So just they kind of fallen apart in the fourth quarter. But it's been the opposite here. They've outscored Phoenix 18-9. Looks like Phoenix is shooting some free throws, unfortunately, and they just hit 1, so they're up 5. So hopefully the Mystics recover. Now they're up 6. Hopefully the Mystics cover or at least push. It'd be nice to get a push. And then hopefully Scotty Scheffler recovers tomorrow too. Like I think that was his worst opening round of golf since 2022. And he missed the cut in the tournament. I don't know what happened to him today. I know he hit a triple bogey, but I'm not sure like why he was so bad. Maybe the arrest has something to do with it because I know he's being arraigned on June 3rd, I think. But nice. Mystics hit a 3, so there we go. I know like the officer who arrested him is facing disciplinary action because he didn't activate his camera. So like we still don't really know what happened. I don't think like I've heard 2 sides of the story, but it just felt like an overreach by the officer. It's just like just let Scotty Scheffler park his car. Like what are you doing? Like he's a tournament to play. I don't know. It's just like we don't really know what happened, but I thought, I don't know, it seemed kind of dumb to me. So Mike says no shutout. Yeah, Slew bailing us out. Thank you so much, Slew. Sandra says I'll be back this weekend for more non-professional medical advice. YouTube is a good place to ask these sorts of things. So I mean I've always joked that I identify as doctor. So you are getting advice from a doctor. So I think you can identify as anything these days. So why not? Sue says yes, Mike. No donuts for Walt and After Dark. So yeah, thanks, Sue, for keeping us afloat here. No 73-cent shows. So no, really appreciate you, Sue. Thank you so much for always commenting in here. Mike says $269 is the cheeseburger. Can you get the hamburger for $222? That's the question. That's a great question. I don't know, and I don't think I've ever ordered a hamburger from McDonald's. I love cheese too much. My son's the same way. He'll like when we eat dinner. My son he'll look at his dinner and like he'll eat what he wants, and then he'd be like, more frozen cheese, which frozen cheese is shredded cheese. I don't know why he calls it frozen cheese. Because my wife freezes the frozen cheese or the shredded cheese because she like buys it in bulk. And she said it's frozen, so he calls it frozen cheese. So he always asks for that. So like my son and I both love our cheese, and I've never bought a hamburger. And I remember I've said this so many times, but like the special when I was in high school was cheeseburgers 59 cents, but hamburgers are 49 cents. So I mean, you take 10 cents off then, but like with compared to, I doubt it's $2.59 compared to $2.69. Like cheese the price of cheese has inflated as well. So someone will have to do that research. If I stop by McDonald's, I'll enter it. I'm not going to buy a hamburger because like I need the cheese on it, but I'll put it in and I'll see what that is. So hopefully the Mystics hold on here. So as Concha says, I'll just identify as dry-eared and it won't be a problem then. Yeah, that'll work. You can always do that. I hopefully that the head out of the water with breaststroke works. I don't see why it wouldn't. Like it's not like optimal, but it should still be a good workout, especially like if you do a lot of it. I don't know how far you plan on going, but it's tough to tell. If you were in a lap pool, I can tell you that like 70, like up once, back twice, up 3 times, up back 4, 5, 6. That 70 times is a mile. I don't know the size of your lake. I don't know what that is, but usually it would take me a lot faster when I was in shape. But nowadays it takes me about like 25 minutes to do a mile or so. So I don't know how fast you can swim, and like swimming head up breaststroke is going to be slower too. So I would assume that like 45 minutes maybe with that sort of stroke would be a mile. So again, I don't know how long you plan on going, but like maybe that's the goal, to do like 45 minutes or maybe a half hour, probably just be fine too. Sue says, by the way, what does your dentist think of a new Toyota Camry sells for nowadays? $95,000. I should ask him. I don't know why he thought a cheeseburger was $12 at McDonald's. Like maybe he was thinking of Five Guys, which is like super expensive compared to other fast food places. But I don't know why he thought cheeseburgers were $12. I might have to visit him because I have a new tooth problem in my mouth. Surprise, surprise. So I'll have to ask him. I know that he's also like anti-Bitcoin, which kind of like set off alarms too. Because he's saying like, oh, like Bitcoin's not based on anything. I'm like, yeah, it kind of is. And I'm like, what's the dollar base? The US dollar is based on nothing. Ever since they went to fiat currency, went off the gold standard, it's not based on anything. Just based on confidence that it's worth something. Which is like same thing as Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's based on other stuff too. So he was like, oh, but what if it goes to zero? I'm like, it's not going to go to zero. Like I feel like the US dollar could go to zero faster than Bitcoin. And El Salvador has adopted it as their national currency. I think Argentina is going to do it too. And frankly, if I was governor of a state, I would adopt it too. I'd just say screw the US dollar, because the Federal Reserve prints like 500 million a day. I'd say like screw the US dollar, just going to go to Bitcoin. That's what I'll do. I don't know if it'll fly, but that's what I'll try. So the boss saying Scheffler is 11-1 on FanDuel now. What happened? He had a triple bogey today. He hit his worst round since 2022. He's 2 over. I think it's worth a shot at 11-1. He's the best golfer in the world, and it's not like someone's way ahead. The first place right now is 5 under. Like he's only 7 back with 3 rounds to go. Like he could easily get there. I think 11-1 is good. Is a good number. You might be able to get something better too. But no, he just for some reason he had a triple bogey, and he got in trouble on one hole today. And I kind of speculated like maybe the arrest has something to do with it, but he had a great Sunday at the PGA Championship. So like I'm not convinced it was just the arrest, So I think 11-1 is definitely something worth betting. Like I might put a unit on it. I'll think about it. And I'll let you guys know, but it'll have to be within the next couple hours, since he's going to be in the early session tomorrow. I might bet a unit on it. Can't make it news says the dollar is based on the backs of American workers. Yep. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's all about the confidence that people have in dollar, that it's worth something. And if everyone's like, I feel like if everyone realizes how diluted the dollar is just from the Federal Reserve constantly printing money, then like I think a lot of people would go to Bitcoin or something else. Doesn't have to be Bitcoin, but something else. Like I don't know. I like it's not financial advice, but I would not. I would divest from the U.S. dollar. I think it's just a mistake, just to be in it, or just to have like a lot of money in your bank account, for example. Like just I wouldn't do that. I think it's because it like devalues all the time. The boss says I didn't bet any of the other ones. Are they still worth betting? It's a good question. Not sure where everyone is right now. I only bet 4 guys. I bet Scheffler. I bet Bezuidenhout. Let's look. Where's Bezuidenhout? Bezuidenhout is 2 under right now. Let's pull up his odds. So forget what he was. But it's a great course for Bezuidenhout. So he's 25-1 right now. Solid number. I don't know why it just kicked me out of golf. Hold on. Okay. So he's 25-1. It's a pretty solid number. He's done well this year. He's had multiple top 10 finishes. It's not a tough field. It's a tough course, but it's a really good course for him because it relies on iron play and putting. That's like where he excels. So I had Bezuidenhout as well. I don't know if you guys just heard that text. I think it's Tom celebrating. Let's see. He says the Mystics covered. Oh my God, what a sweat! That's it's nice. That's a nice win. Congrats, Tom. That was a great pick on his part. A great comeback too, because it looked kind of bleak for a while when it was they were down 14. All right, so at Scheffler, Bezuidenhout at 50 to 1. He's down to 25 to 1. Still not a bad number considering there's just 3 back of the lead. Tom Hoagie's was also 50 to 1. Let's see where Hoagie is now. Hoagie is 1 over, unfortunately. I thought this is like a perfect course for Tom Hoagie. Like he's all just look at his profile here. Look, approach and putting. That's his best, and that's what you need at the Colonial. I don't know why he's 1 over. It just maybe just bad variance. But I can't imagine that he has a good number right now. It's probably like 100 to 1 or something. Yeah, it's 110 to 1. That's worth a sprinkle, I guess. Like, he's probably not going to win, but considering he's 50 to 1, now he's 110 to 1. Like what if he has a really good Friday and he's like 2 under and he's like 4 back heading into the weekend? I think he'd have a shot. The other guy I bet is let's see. Is Andrew Putnam. He's 60 to 1. I think Putnam has done well, maybe not. No, he's okay. He's not done well. He's 1,000 to 1 here. What did he do? He's 5 over. Okay, so yeah, you don't want to bet this guy. He's what 11% to make the cut, and the cut line's projected to be what looks like 1 over or 2 over. So maybe he can make the cut. I don't know why Putnam's doing so bad. Again, like if you look at his numbers here, like he's no driving distance, but he's all approach, putting, driving accuracy. Like this is what's important at this course. But he just had an awful day. It's golf. Like that stuff happens all the time. Like Scheffler's 2 over, So that's what I'm looking at. Another guy I liked, I didn't bet him, but like he was the 5th guy I was going to bet. I just didn't pull the trigger. Sepulon Straka, he's 2 under. I think he's worth a shot, and I think I saw him at like 22 to 1. 22 to 1. I think that he's definitely worth a shot. I think this is a great course fit for him as well. If you look at his profile, yeah, look, iron play, it's fantastic. Putting's not great, and I think that's what kept me off of this. And like, his putting last year was a lot better. If you look at his putting this year, like mostly in the red, some green, but mostly red. Last year it was mostly green. So I don't know what happened to his putter this year. But if he can putt well, then he can win this tournament. And he's been in contention before recently. Like he's 5th at the Heritage. He was 8th at the Wells Fargo, 16th at the Masters, which like 16th at the Masters against all those live guys and all the top players in the field. Like that is really impressive. Now he didn't make the cut at the PGA Championship. He putted terribly. But if he can revert back to just being a good putter like he did at the Wells Fargo or the Valspar here or the RBC Heritage, he could win this as well. So if I had to make 2 new bets for this tournament, it would be Scheffler's not a new bet, but I would consider Scheffler at 11 to 1 and Sepulon Straka at 22 to 1. I'm gonna look around to see if we find anything better. So I'm gonna post those plays after we sign off. So not Putnam, yeah. Buy gold and ammunition. For ammunition for sure. Gold, I think like you could buy some gold. I would like diversify. I wouldn't like put everything into gold. I'd have like some gold, some silver, some Bitcoin, some other stuff. So just don't have it in the US dollar. I think that's a big mistake. Or like stocks of like companies you like. Just try to find something that's good. And if you buy stocks, then sell covered calls. Like it's an easy way to just make money, or just buy more stocks, just with the money you make from the premiums and the cover calls. Like most people buy stocks and they don't sell cover calls. That's like a huge mistake. It's free money. You just sell options, and it could be like way out of the money and it'll never hit. And even if it does, like you're gonna make a crap ton if it gets to that price. But yeah, most people just let it sit, and like that's a big error. You always want to sell covered calls if you have stocks. Oilers win, I assume. Canada. It's good. I was considering hedging with the Oilers. They were 5 to 1 to win the Stanley Cup before Game 7. Just didn't pull the trigger. I was so tilted from DeChambeau that I didn't hedge with Schauffele, and so I didn't hedge with the Oilers. Just bad beats all around. But we've rebounded nicely the past 2 days at least. Good advice, Mike. I both. It's good to hear. Gimmicky News says the digital dollar will go freedom everywhere. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but you're right. It will. So, all right. So I'm gonna post those golf picks after I sign off, and I mean, good luck with any bets you guys make. I'll be back Saturday with Tom. We're gonna do a long show. He'll talk about more WNBA plays. It's like Tom is on fire in the WNBA, both like props and overall picks. I think he's like it's probably something like 16-8 or something like that, which is like fantastic. So I'm kind of assuming that projection is. I think it's like feels like 16-8 or something like that. So he'll talk about maybe some more WNBA plays and something I want to do with Tom on Saturday is look in the week 2 because you can bet that early and we might have some good opportunities. And also, I think it's instructive because as Slew did pointed out last week, there's some look aheads as well, and so we might catch one or two that we didn't consider and think like, oh, this team in week 1 might look ahead to this game. So like looking ahead, I think is pretty important. So I don't know if Tom's up for it. I want to look into week 2. If not, then I'll do it by myself next week. But yeah, thanks guys for watching, listening, commenting. Really appreciate it. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description of the merch store. All that would be appreciated. Especially thank you to Slew for the 222. The 2-2 Oilers stars turns into 3-2. So congrats if you had that, and congrats if you had the Mystics as well. But yeah, I will have a great start to your weekend, and I will talk to you on Saturday.